series, it was very, very sloppy. Meanwhile, on the other side, Giants versus Queso, that game was very fast-paced. The Liquid matchup, Liquid only scored, I think, 2 goals against Godsmilla's team, and both of them were pretty much own goals. So it's not like Godsmilla's team has been tested up to this point, and we'll see how they manage to deal with Atomic and Demensa, especially on the offense.
Team Queso, they mean business. Chronic got his flip reset, a save off their own crossbar. Godsmilla, a light tap. It was a brave effort here to keep this ball out. You see this save, watch here, right there, puts it off the crossbar, but Godsmilla cleaning it up.
And we gotta talk about that first setup from a Chronic, getting the flip reset, going for the double tap. He had the angle, barely missed it. And that just led to the perfect setup for Godsmilla to come in and clean it up as the third man, usually slotting in rather nicely on this team.
Great start for Godsmilla's team. A Chronic, the least known player out there on the field for Godsmilla's team. We all have seen Freaky play, you know, perhaps peeking back on Veloce. Freaky, an MVP caliber performance that season when Veloce was hot.
Yeah. I like how the Des described it. He just doesn't stop. He continues forward. He doesn't care, you know, which team he's on. He's going to find a way to creep into the top 8 and figure out what it takes to get some upsets. No matter who's on his team, but if you've got a Chronic, the Portuguese prodigy, it doesn't matter.
Another impressive touch from a Chronic, getting up and over that ball. You saw Demensa got a piece of it, but not enough to keep it out. So a quick start for Godsmilla's team. And I think this is a bit surprising, Turtle.
Yeah.
Godsmilla's team, like you said, they weren't really tested too much.
Yeah.
But now,
I mean,
still
no
a
idea
great
where
start.
this came from. They had great pressure against Team Liquid, don't get me wrong, but Team Liquid, it looked like they were almost fighting against themselves. Their rotations were a little bit off, and Godsmilla were able to punish. And now, whenever they're faced up against a solid defense where they have to create their own opportunities, you've got a Chronic, you know, whipping out some mechanics to get some shooting lane.
Atomic, though, when we were watching the series earlier, Atomic had some lovely aerial plays, so comfortable with the air dribble plays. But it's a slow offensive start here for Team Queso. Plenty of time, though. Chronic airborne, that touch. Demensa, you saw multiple defenders flying at that one, but that shot, wow.
That was so good, you needed a triple commit to get some kind of save. Everybody looking to get a touch there from Team Queso. That's how you know it's a good shot. And that Godsmilla's team still finding quality striking opportunities. They have not let up, James. It seems like we've been in Team Queso's half the entire game.
You're right, Team Queso. They're stuck in their own half still. The Chronic catching it. Going for net. You saw the defenders go up on the wall. A Chronic saw his gap.
He just doesn't stop. A Chronic so far, game 1 MVP. He doesn't need his teammates. He finds the smallest window, and he's able to slot it in with perfect accuracy.
That is awareness. You see so many players at this level now try to get up on the backboard early to defend the high shots, defend the double taps. But a Chronic, he saw both defenders up on that wall and immediately taking the shot.
Yeah, it was glued to the ground as well. Didn't want to get any height on it, trying to find a small little window in the net. And most players, especially if you're the striker of the team, just go for power. But a Chronic, like you said, James, pure awareness.
That's coming right down to the middle. Sailing out a boost. Freaky saw a Chronic on the far side of the field, but the pass was too far away. The right idea, execution wasn't there, but a 3-goal lead for Godsmilla's team. Team Queso, they've been reeling ever since these first goals, still trying to get their feet under them. The Chronic taking out multiple, a pass to the middle, off the ceiling and down, and Sailing will clear it out.
I mean, if you're Team Queso, you have got to keep your eyes on a Chronic. You need to know where he's at all the time. He's the one making plays, opening up opportunities, and the defense has been a bit passive. A lot of times they don't even have the speed to match him like this right here. Godsmilla, easy win off the backboard, perfect shot on net, save in the last few seconds from Big Sailing, but the pressure keeps mounting, and of course, you're gonna get Freaky cleaning it up.
Freaky, he's a shooter. You know, it used to be Flame, the guy who would feed Freaky in the middle.
Yeah.
But this time, Godsmilla getting it out there. Freaky striking it in. A 4-goal lead now. Team Queso, it looked like they didn't stand a chance this game, which is pretty surprising. I mean, this is my first time getting to see Godsmilla's team take the pitch.
And I'll say it again, it didn't feel like they were really tested against Team Liquid, which is why I came in here with not, you know, a lot of expectations for Team Godsmilla. And now coming out with a Chronic leading the way, Freaky with some solid striking. Godsmilla has been cleaning it up as the third man. It seems like Team Queso have their hands full.
Freaky, light tap down, will stay with it himself, gets it by another defender. Stretching to it, Demensa will pop it high. Godsmilla taking that mid boost, leaving it for a Chronic around one. An Atomic, he was in position to get the challenge. Now, counterattack opportunity broken up by Atomic. But it's all for naught. We're in the final seconds. Godsmilla's team, a stellar game one.
Yeah, this is unreal. And now we're starting to see a little bit of life on offense. For Team Queso won at the last 3 seconds. You might as well take it, James. Build something to transition to the next game. This is at least a sign that you can crack the armor of this new roster.
It's always nice to at least get on the board, because getting shut out, it is frustrating, especially if you have some good shots. We didn't see that many quality opportunities for Team Queso. The defense solid, but the attacking prowess of Godsmilla's team, it could not be denied in game one, and they are looking very solid.
Well, one thing I did like about Team Queso's matchup against the Giants and what they were implementing into their playstyle was this changeup of the pace. It seemed like whenever things were going well for them in that matchup against the Giants, which unfortunately they did lose, but when things were going well, they were swapping up the pace a lot, slowing the ball down, going for a lot of mind games, and forcing the Giants defense to triple commit, double commit, and panic a lot on the defensive line. They need to instill that type of fear into the defense of Godsmilla's team, but right now they can't even transition on offense, James. They're stuck in their half. They can't fight the mechanics of a Chronic, and it seems like the third man rotations have not broken up from Godsmilla and Freaky.
100%. The rotations there, the mechanics there. We saw even a Chronic, he started out the game with that flip reset double tap that he didn't score on,
that's beautiful.
But the rebound led to that goal. And so you're right, the mechanics from a Chronic fitting in really nicely. Freaky and Godsmilla, they're players who have been around at the top for a while. They've grinded their way up and proven over and over and over and over again that they're RLCS caliber. And now a Chronic, he is paired up with them quite nicely. Team Queso, they're going to have to look for an answer here in game two.
Absolutely. And another thing I really want to touch upon too is Team Queso and their ability to win challenges in the midfield. It seemed like Zamway, for the most part in their Giants matchup, just was winning pretty much everything in that midfield. And we're going to need to see somebody else step up from Team Queso, try to win more 50s, almost play that Turbo Pulsa role where you're winning challenges and you can keep the offense going. Otherwise, you are going to stay flat and pretty much get zero opportunities because you're failing to transition. Some good looks so far from everybody from Team Queso. It seems like they're listening to me, trying to find the answer to that challenge, which is winning the midfield, going forward and finding a better shot on net. We've had some good aggression so far, and this is much different from game one. There's an opportunity from Atomic, doesn't find it, but unfortunately for him, he will have to rotate back out. And Demensa now a win in the midfield. The 50-50 game is strong, and this is what I was looking for. Team Queso getting confident, finding that aggressive play style, and returning to the field, because before it felt like they were just alone on defense, didn't want to move together, and now we can see them transition out. Nice little play here from Atomic, though, to get it out to Vixalen on the transition. Vixalen won't be able to find anything, but he does take the boost. This could be a good opportunity now on another transition for Team Queso as Demensa off the backboard doesn't get the read, and Freaky being tested off the backboard. Then Atomic comes in and cleans it up. Team Queso have been dominating ever since this game started.
And you saw Freaky wanted to clear that out to the side, ended up passing it right to Atomic. It's tough to get the right touch in that situation, but you really do have to do better. It's okay, so they do find that bounce back in game 2. Can they hold on? They had a defense that looked more like Swiss cheese last game.
I can't believe you went there, James. I think it's too far. Too far.
Demensa dropping it down. You got to throw in a couple here.
Oh my goodness.
Salem, I didn't think this one was even going in.
Check out the bounce shot, though. Look at this. Demensa gets the flip reset, which basically did nothing. Kind of a little bit of a fake. And then Atomic, a good 50 win. And Vic Salem, that's one of the most accurate bounce shots you can ask for if you're the striker.
And you know why I didn't think it was going in is because there was a defender there, but Demensa getting a body block. Team Queso, they get the response.
Well, and it started with that challenge win, James. Queso, whenever they are winning more 50-50s and taking things a bit slower, like I mentioned earlier on in this game, it sets them up for so many more opportunities, which is what worked. It was also their kryptonite against the Giants. Now you can see them going in with confidence in those challenges. They're not focusing too hard on forcing an opportunity, just winning that initial 50-50, and then you can go from there.
BK Salem lobbing that out. Freaky meeting that ball in the air. And now on the other end, Chronic has Godsmilla waiting in the middle. Godsmilla gets bumped out of the way. Demensa clears it to the side. BK Salem has a bounce. It's out to Atomic. A demo in net. And Atomic, an easy shot after that demo came through.
Yeah, and you got to pay attention to the miss from Freaky. He had to get a read. You notice he didn't even want to jump. He was trying to get as much power, but timing it in those corners, James, especially when you don't jump off the backboard, is so difficult, even for pros at this level. You see the whiff, then the demo comes out from Vic Salem, an easier cleanup. Team Queso, a 180 from game 1.
The Chronic, a high lob. Drop down. And now Atomic off the backboard. He'll miss. BK Salem having to come in and help. Atomic downfield. Center ball and another bump. You're seeing so much aggression coming out from Team Queso now. Demos, bumps. It's working out as well.
Oh, man. And that was a triple commit in the midfield, but there was nobody from Godsmilla's team who was ready in time to get the counterattack. That is some very awkward positioning. We don't see that too often. You said it yourself, James, just pure aggression. But for Godsmilla's team, if they're a little bit more organized and can pick up a couple more pads, you can get an easy counterattack there and try to find an opening whenever they're so aggressive on your own half.
Freaky to a Chronic. Atomic waiting for help. He gets some from Demensa. BK Salem putting it off the backboard. Freaky awkward, doesn't hit it very well. A bounce shot of Godsmilla now in an awkward spot. And they find themselves in a 2v1. Godsmilla could have got the ball, but Godsmilla, it was Freaky that popped that straight up.
And then on the other side, you see Vic Salem had to dodge a demo. He pre-jumped it, got around the demo, was able to get a clear out and set up Atomic for all this space on the backboard.
And Team Queso, they wake up absolutely. We were expecting more from them, I think, in game 1. Godsmilla's team came out swinging. A Chronic, a huge part of that. But then Team Queso, man, they started amping up the aggression, getting the demos, the passing plays, the shots. This is the Team Queso that we expected.
Yeah, every single element so far just dominated from Queso. I mean, at first we get a Godsmilla team that is dominating Queso, winning with mechanics, 50s, as well as the possession. And now Team Queso have responded with a style of their own, and it's with speed. Look at Vic Salem and how fast he got up to this one. 5-0 for Team Queso.
And Demensa playing keep away. You saw Godsmilla trying to get there in time, but just wasn't happening. Yeah. Low on boost. The touches every time that Godsmilla's team is trying to get that touch. Somebody from Team Queso is already there, making them waste all their boost.
Now we have to see how Godsmilla's team can react. You know, you want to get even a half-decent response to this Team Queso aggression. How do you handle that? You've got all 3 players willingly taking your boost, crossing the midfield line. They're not too worried about having a third man back, and maybe they've realized that there's some extra space on the field that Godsmilla's team wants to give up.
Well, this was an interesting start to the series. Game 1, all Godsmilla's team. Game 2, even more one-sided, but this time in favor of Team Queso. So maybe this has people scratching their heads trying to figure out what was the difference between Game 1 and Game 2. Team Queso just looked like a different team out there.
Yeah, it could have been a respect issue as well. I think Gibbs on the desk mentioned it, that whenever you're coming into this matchup, you don't want to disrespect anybody on Godsmilla's team, but Team Queso, that could have easily been the case in Game 1 because they gave space to a Chronic, and we saw what happens when you give him space, when you give him a little bit of time off the backboard. He's going to find a flip reset, possibly get a better pass out to his teammates. Team Queso tightened up the defense, quicker rotations, better 50s. All in all, this is a much better roster, and they're moving with confidence.
A Chronic. Arrow trying to tap that pass back, maybe go for the double tap, didn't happen. Now VK Salen getting a piece of that ball. Godsmilla, I thought he was going to be able to sneak it around him. Now Chronic downfield. Yeah, you saw that little shimmy, shake, and pop past the defender.
Yeah, and that's a scary sign because that's how Game 1 started out. A Chronic doing a couple of solo plays. That's a double commit off the backboard from Team Queso. And we've got, again, another 180. This is Godsmilla's team coming out on top.
A few double commits as well. You even see Atomic and VK Salen out there. Rebound opportunity. Freaky will pound that in.
They're taking turns. Okay, you guys can suffocate our defense, and then now Godsmilla will take a stab at the defense, take their boost, win out the 50s, and force everyone on Team Queso just to be all over the place.
And we saw that even in Game 1. Team Queso at times were throwing everything at the ball. We saw multiple double commits, even a triple commit to get a save. We'll see if that Game 1 Team Queso rears its ugly head.
And giving Freaky any opportunity to punish James. You know, I'm thinking back to the Veloce days where Freaky just was that clutch player, especially in overtime whenever things were coming down to the line, and Demensa fell from the ceiling. I think it went up for the aerial and was just floating down. Managed to get a touch there. That would have been something else.
It was close. It almost was something special.
I believe.
But Freaky is a player that is a natural scorer. You see him find his way into the right position. He plays exactly where that ball is going to end up and finds himself in a ton of shooting opportunities, and a lot of times finds ways to hit his shot as well. Demensa taking charge on this attack, had some help. VK Salen, the shot was just wide, but it was a quality attempt on net. Drop down. Saw Freaky backflip out of that hit. He knew the defender was going to be in position to take that or get that save.
Oh, a better 50 there from Godsmilla too. This is just, it's a bit awkward. It seems like somebody on the Godsmilla's team, there's that third man who wants to stay really far back, but then the first two, they're just full sending it. It doesn't matter if they double commit, they're just going to throw themselves at the ball and hope something happens. Is that open? Okay.
I was just going to say that Godsmilla's team is having some severe boost problems. You see the quick rotation from VK Salen, and then where was Demensa?
I mean, he was in the corner trying to get the boost, but the thing of it is, why is he rotating in so late in that situation? Maybe he went for the midfield.
We'll have to look at the film on that. Yeah, maybe he got bumped. Maybe there was something going on. But yeah, he was certainly delayed on that rotation back.
When it's just such a big window of time, that's a poor touch there from Salen. Freaky. We talked about how accurate he is. You don't want to give him a chance to punish because he's going to make you pay.
And Salen, he did well to keep the ball out, but what are you going to do? You know, you keep it out of net, but you're setting it up on a tee for Freaky. The Team Queso defense, it has been a story of highs and lows. And right now, it's back to lows.
Yeah, roller coaster of emotions, but they certainly have what it takes to clean things up. 3-0. 2 minutes left. Plenty of time, though. You need to start soon. Gather some bit of momentum moving forward.
A Chronic, who even low on boost in that situation, was still able to make that lead defender miss. And then you see Salen actually falling back on that ball. Team Queso back on the defense. Oh, huge flick by Demensa. So huge, in fact, that Salen can't even get there in time.
That was the most dominant flick I think I've ever seen. With the flat cars, you can launch it like a catapult, James. Unfortunately, Team Queso wasn't ready. Oh, Salen, though, the first touch, and it's off the crossbar. What is happening? Chaos on the goal line, and it doesn't even fall in.
And Chronic was in the perfect situation. Finally, it's not a crossbar down and in. It was crossbar down and out. Well positioned by Chronic.
They're still making saves.
Yeah, if you know, there's a lot of times you can predict that, you know, if it's going in, it's going in. But if it goes crossbar down, you've got to be in the right spot on the goal line to make sure it bounces out. You want, you know, at least half your car, if you're standing sideways on it, you want it in the net.
Double tap. Oh, Salen, a miss. There's so many opportunities for Team Queso. And James, to your point, whenever you're standing on the goal line as well, it's not panicking. A lot of people want to pre-jump, but even if you pre-jump a Chronic shot, you won't find the save. This was just too good.
Meet the hammer. His name's Chronic.
Wow.
The double tap. Beautifully done. Godsmilla's team. Their name might not be that serious, but their gameplay certainly is.
I mean, after this, I feel like we should rename it to a Chronic's team with the pop-off that we've seen from this man.
Oh, you're getting into the politics now.
Oh, true. I respect the name. Either or, I'm fine with.
Maybe they just get picked up by a big org because they're playing like they're in one.
That's right.
Freaky. Massive bump. Atomic still trying to stay in the play. Chronic will lob it up. Salen will get it back to the middle. Not the best touch from Godsmilla, but perhaps that was planned because Chronic was there. Light tap. The communication might have been on point. And Freaky will get it to Godsmilla, and the back and forth continues. Game 1, all Godsmilla's team. Game 2, all Team Queso. And look at this, 5-0.
Yep. You even saw that play start out with a Chronic getting a flip reset, winning the 50. Everybody got a piece of it and played a part in that play. Now you've got Godsmilla, James. What do we expect in the next one? You can't even say that this matchup is relatively close. It's just been a blowout for either team in each game, exchanging blows.
Godsmilla's team, you know, any team that has Freaky on it, I have learned to just, you don't underestimate him.
Yeah.
Freaky, a hat trick this game. A Chronic, he only scored a single goal, but did have 2 assists. And look at all the points. He was hitting every ball. And, you know, honestly, pretty much every time he was touching it in the air, he was getting it to the backboard and looking for another touch, even scoring one of those double taps. A Chronic, fearless gameplay. And you know, just looking at his stats, 5 saves, 3 shots, he was everywhere on the field.
When a lot of this Godsmilla team was positioning themselves differently than the second game because they got destroyed by Team Queso. They couldn't handle the aggression, and it felt like they were way more mindful of Team Queso and how aggressive that they wanted to play. So they had the last defender all the way back. You send a couple people forward, but you make sure you have the safety net in the backfield. And when Team Queso do overextend and send everybody forward, if that third man can win a challenge or at least get control of the ball, you've got one of the best looking counterattack opportunities that you've seen all game.
Oh, no doubt. No, the counterattack is strong. And also just a Chronic, if you can get that ball lobbed up in the air, there's a good chance that he could score a double tap. And then Freaky, one of the best players that there are with cleanup goals.
Absolutely.
You can get that rebound out to Freaky, there's a good chance it's going in. And we've seen a lot of rebound goals for Godsmilla's team. The challenges were very effective last game.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think Freaky is such a good player to implement on a team where you have a star player with mechanics like a Chronic, because he's going to do all this flashy work like this. Sometimes he doesn't even need to clean up. I thought that one was going to slip in. And then, of course, Freaky comes back with the cleanup himself. I don't know what's going on, James. This is insane.
That ball was bouncing on the goal line for a while.
That was almost perfect, too, because I was talking about how Freaky cleans up after the mechanical striker or star player does his work, but unfortunately, 2 crossbar hits.
Yeah, and we were also talking about how Team Queso oftentimes sends the house, and they did on both of those. Freaky was jumping up. He's like, I'm just going to miss this. They're all in the air. Just let it go. And it almost worked out. Team Queso catching a break. But they're still under pressure as Godsmilla's team, this first minute, has been all them. That demo was nice. Freaky wanted to get the give and go. You saw the placement on the touch, but the demo had taken Chronic out of the game.
Everybody from Team Queso so stagnant on defense. Their defensive line, all three players are always back. Nobody's forward to receive a clear. And then all of a sudden you get some kind of momentum and everybody sends themselves forward. There's no organization. Demensa now, a nice little carry out, but again, he's alone on offense to try to make something work.
But I love that that short series there from Demensa. Demensa getting multiple demos, keeping that ball in the air, getting the flip reset, pushing it down. He bought so much time. VK Sailing coming in and get this tap. But Demensa, he's playing his heart out, and Team Queso get on the board first.
And this is really awkward from Freaky. I think he thought a Chronic was going to get a touch. The communication was not present for anybody on Godsmilla's team. Freaky was forced to back up, try to find some situation where he could get a touch, but it's too late at that point. You already committed.
Yeah, that's the worst. When you see a player throwing it in reverse like that, you know the plan has definitely fallen apart.
Oh, Freaky again off the backboard. He's out of position a lot of the time here on defense so far this game. He needs to read the play a little bit more. Otherwise, we might see another destruction from Team Queso and just plowing through, really, Godsmilla's team at this point.
That first goal, though, I wouldn't pin it too much on Freaky. That touch was definitely on Freaky. A Chronic keeps it out. Somehow it doesn't go in! Off the post and out! That is a devastating moment for Team Queso.
Oh my goodness, how many crossbar hits have we gotten this series? There's been so many chances right now. I feel like it's mostly in favor of Team Queso to get opportunities. Here's one. That one's saved by Freaky, making up for that poor defensive play earlier, or at least the miscommunication from a Chronic.
Wow. Talk about catching breaks on the goal line. Godsmilla's team, few moments, and that one will find its way in. Atomic finding the lower corner. Godsmilla floating around. You could tell he was struggling with boost, and a well-struck ball coming across his body.
And they are happy Atomic was able to strike it well because two players committed. I think VK Sailing was trying to get a touch of it as well. Again, the over-aggression coming out from Team Queso, but fortunately enough, Atomic was accurate and didn't allow any chance for a counterattack.
And again, Demensa denying that ball up near the backboard. Not the best touch from Freaky, setting up the shot, but the shot left a bit to be desired. Maybe Atomic low on boost there, shot it right at a Chronic. Easy save, and what was a difficult position.
Still time though, a little bit under 2 minutes left. You know Godsmilla's team, especially with that use of Freaky and his accuracy as third man, a Chronic, going in with that aggression. Something could develop here within the final few minutes.
Infield pass from Godsmilla. Freaky did win the 50 up and back, but Atomic first to it. A Chronic. Upfield. VK Sailing will dive in. The redirect. Demensa racing back. Couldn't get there. A Chronic. The perfect shot.
And it's from the midfield. Really, this should not even be a shot that goes in. Slow rotations out of Team Queso. This happened in the previous game where Demensa was trying to rotate back into net. He went for the corner boost. Again, that slow play style where you over-aggress. You can't get back in time because you don't have the boost, and you're giving a free shot to Godsmilla's team.
Maybe you're right, Turtle. Maybe this is a Chronic's team after all. Did that on zero boost. A Chronic keeping the hopes alive for Godsmilla's team to punch their ticket to tomorrow.
There's lots of space for Godsmilla's team as well as we come down to the last 45 seconds. They definitely have what it takes to clutch it up if Team Queso keep that rotation a bit slower.
Demensa, the fake. But Godsmilla was ready for it. Chronic up, Godsmilla. It's a race between him and Demensa got there first. Demo. The Chronic. Oh, he's dangerous. What's he gonna do here in the air?
Oh no.
Shut down again by Demensa, and Demensa almost gets the second touch. Demensa's defense has been a shining point for Team Queso.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. We even saw him get the fake earlier on in midfield. Last final few seconds here. Something gets popped up. There's a chance here, James, to keep it alive. Godsmilla pass across. I believe there was a small chance if that ball just stayed up or even got that last bounce, we could have seen an opportunity. But of course, the last match in the knockout gauntlet, we get game 5.
And we were wondering what type of game this was going to be. It was back and forth ever since the beginning of this one with heavy-handed victories. But the first game in the series that was tight all the way to the end. We even saw that pass. Freaky was waiting. He was ready for the pass from Godsmilla. It just was too far.
Always.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Freaky is whenever he is the third man, most times the third man who rotates back will be a bit greedy and go for that corner boost on their own side. But Freaky doesn't really care. He just wants to be in position. And that's why he finds himself with a lot of key opportunities to tie the game up or clutch it out. That would have been another example. And we'll see if game 5 starts out the opposite way, where we got a Chronic coming out with mechanics like he did in game 1. That could be very possible against this Team Queso defense.
Now, on the offensive end, it was a Chronic versus Atomic. Atomic had a great shot coming across the field and was able to find that lower corner, catching Godsmilla out for boost. And now, another chance early on. VK Salen, flip reset off the backboard, double tap, and save Godsmilla's team. How many lives do they have on the goal line?
And for some reason, we never see them panic. That's a situation where if somebody gets a flip reset, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna pre-jump it and try to get an early touch, but they stayed patient on the goal line. Godsmilla didn't bite right away and got the save he needed to keep them tied up here in game 5. Only 30 seconds in, we're getting this type of action.
Man, Godsmilla's team, they have caught so many breaks. They've made so many goal line stands. And we're still even. Demensa's lobbing it down. Godsmilla with a bit of time. Lovely touches. He's not going to have much boost to go for that. Rotate out. Freaky going for net. Demensa clearing it off to the side. Godsmilla there. Demo. Double demo now.
2. There's space.
And Demensa with the tap. Salen racing to it. And he'll break up that chance. A Chronic coming in, trying to keep the play alive, but Demensa will kill it with that long clear.
Demensa is playing incredible defense. He's finding the saves, getting those high backboard overhead reads, and stopping the offense of Godsmilla's team. He has been the rock for Team Queso to keep him alive and get him in game 5, and he's still doing work on offense.
Demensa is really wearing his emotions out there on his Dominus paint job.
We saw the flick earlier that Dominus can launch that ball.
And Demensa is looking incredible right now for Team Queso on the defensive end, but right now they're going to need some offense. Demensa, light tap, Freaky streaking in. Demensa will keep this in the corner. A Chronic. Oh, you see a double commit. This is going to be tough. Demensa didn't get it very far out, but the shot was weak. And Atomic will lob it back up. Stopped by Godsmilla, coming straight up off the ceiling. Low boost situation. Atomic going for that. And Freaky will clear it out to a Chronic. And a give and go. That's going to get it down to the corner where VK Salen's waiting.
At this point, it seems like a fight between third man. You've got Freaky on the back line trying to get a save as this one goes across from Godsmilla, and Demensa finds the same type of save that we just saw earlier on from Freaky. In the right position, lovely rotations, still tied up.
Oh, the fake from a Chronic in the air, another on the ground. The light touch, Demensa denies it. A Chronic hungry for the highlight level play.
Wow, I can't believe it.
And oh, that was a scary moment as well after that demo, the rebound out, but I can't believe it either, Turtle. Demensa shutting down that play, but it was close.
Well, I mean, Cole was talking about Demensa in the pre-show and saying how he loved his mechanics and thought he was going to be a monster on offense, but we have to acknowledge his defense and the fact that he's keeping his team alive in game 5.
Even there, getting a chip on the ball, but Freaky able to get the shot. It was an easy save. Our Chronic, the challenge. Now Freaky to the side. It's going to bounce out. Demensa beating Godsmilla to the ball. Shot from VK Salen, and it's saved wide by Freaky. Game 5 playing out a lot like Game 4. This is neck and neck. Freaky corner pass attempt right to Salen. And now Demensa off the ceiling, save from a Chronic. Freaky setting up Godsmilla, airborne to a Chronic off the backboard. And again, someone from Team Queso is there. Team Queso has cleaned up their saves. Still a few double commits here and there, but it hasn't been enough to cost them anything.
Oh man, it has been relentless from Godsmilla's team trying to find that counterattack. There's been a lot of high floaters in front of the net of Team Queso, but unfortunately the pass wasn't coming out in time. Freaky did get a mind game. Now as the demo from VK Salen relieves a lot of this pressure, it has been back and forth the last, I'd say, minute or so. Originally it was all Godsmilla's team, but now things starting to even out.
Salen up high, Freaky getting in front of Atomic. Demensa. You saw Atomic over there, and that touch might give Atomic a chance. He lets it bounce, goes for the demo, gets it in net. Demensa, low boost, not the best touch. He can't get there, and Godsmilla will score. A defensive breakdown by Demensa in the final seconds. That is unreal.
And you can see where he went. He tried to go into the corner and grab the full boost pad so he could rotate in front of the net in time. If it was up, he would have been able to get the save, but now the final few seconds, something has got to work. That one might touch the ground. Freaky keeps it alive. And it looks like Godsmilla's team might have what it takes to clutch this Game 5 up.
Godsmilla makes it official, taps it down, and Godsmilla's team with an upset are going to be moving on to the playoffs.
What? Oh my goodness. That is nothing but pain for Demensa, James. He was making stop after stop on the goal line, finding almost every defensive touch that he needed to in order to at least have a chance in Game 5. And then now, in the final, what was it? I think 5 seconds, he passes it off the wall. Not the best touch, goes for the boost, and can't get there in time. That has got to hurt. Oh.
It hurts so much, Turtle, and we've all been there. And when you have zero boost like that, you can't make a positioning mistake. By the time you realize you're out of position, you know, it's over. And that's what happened. Demensa, no boost to get back, and the net was wide open. Godsmilla not going to miss his opportunity. And maybe he was saying, this is why the team's named after me, is because I'm getting us this game-winning goal, this series-winning goal that puts us through to the playoffs. What an entertaining series that was. That was incredible. And to break down all that action and to highlight all the stuff that happened today, we're going to go back to the desk.